Hello, Gaston County, and welcome to episode number 10 of Gaston's Great, a podcast highlighting some of the great things happening in and around Gaston County. I'm your host, Stephen Long, and we are once again coming to you from the downtown Gastonia headquarters of GSM Services, and we're looking forward to having some great discussions in the coming weeks and months. We simply believe in discussing more of the reasons why Gaston's great. We are highlighting another great organization this week and are lucky to have Sharon Padgett with us today, who is the CEO of the Gaston County Family YMCA organization. Did I say that?
You nailed it.
Okay, great. Sharon, it's great to have you, and welcome to the podcast.
Well, I'm honored to be here. Thanks for asking me.
Absolutely. So we're going to get right to it. So if you don't mind just sharing a little bit about yourself. Again, remember, this is a family podcast, so anything you can share would be great.
I will keep it as honest as I can. So excited to be here today. Thank y'all for asking me to come. So a little bit about myself. Grew up in Monroe, North Carolina, so I'm not too far from home, just the other side of Charlotte. Went to Wingate University. Wingate. There you go. That's it. And have been working for, I love it. Been working for the YMCA organization since 1993, full-time. Started in 1987. And so been a part of the Y almost all my life, and met my husband in, where did I meet? Raleigh, North Carolina, and got married, moved to Columbia, South Carolina, and then came here to Gaston County. So here I am.
Raleigh is a great town, by the way.
Raleigh is one of my favorite towns other than Gaston County.
I agree. NC State is in Raleigh, if anyone was
I'm an NC State fan. I like the underdog. I'm not
very
gonna
good.
lie.
Very good. So, Ken, thanks for sharing that. So how did you, maybe elaborate, how did you end up here in Gaston County and at the Gaston County YMCA?
So it goes back to 1988.
I was in high school.
I'm sure you were. You're just a young gun, a whole lot younger than Joel, right?
Yes.
Let's just state that again. A lot younger.
That is, thank you very much.
You're welcome. And so in 1988, I worked at a summer camp on the east coast of North Carolina. It was a girls' camp called Camp Seafarer, and Tony Sigmund was a counselor at the boys' camp called Camp Seagull. And that is where Tony and I met, and we have been friends ever since. And so when in 2009, as Gaston County Y was growing, he was looking for a COO, and so he called me when I was in Columbia, South Carolina, and said, hey, do you want to come to Gaston County? I was like, man, this sounds like a great opportunity, and here I am 12 years later.
That's great. Yeah, Tony has known Tony for a very long time.
Yep.
And great advocate for the YMCA as well.
Yes, he is.
So what can you tell us about maybe the history and the mission of specifically of the YMCA?
Sure. The mission and the history is over about 170 years old.
Wow. Okay.
As far as the YMCA national office, the Y was started with a small Bible study of 12 men in an upper room, which is fascinating, which has created the largest nonprofit in the country.
Oh, wow. I was not aware of that.
Yep. So as you think about what small step can we take today to create change, of how that can multiply over the years if it's the right thing. And I think the YMCA has been the right thing in all communities across the world. I had a trip that I went to Africa in 1993, and as I was taking safari, driving to, where were we going? Mombasa. Went through a little town called Neri, and there was a cement block building, and it had the Y logo on it.
Wow.
I had to stop and take a picture. It was powerful. So, yeah, so that's kind of when we started over 170 years ago. In Gaston County, it started as the YMCA started the first library here.
Okay.
That was for Laurel Morris. And
I'm sure she's listening.
She is listening. She's one of the subscribers. And so, but it has been a part of Gaston County in some form or fashion since 1880 in Gaston County. So we have a long, long history. Our mission is to put Christian principles into practice through programs that build healthy spirit, mind, and body for all. We are all about strengthening community. So I love to say it's from birth to death. I've said diaper to diaper before because, let's be honest, we'll be there again at some day. And so when we're trying to meet the spirit, mind, and body of people in our community, and we're trying to strengthen the foundations from youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility, it's a huge task. And so we try to meet those needs of community wherever they are.
What, a quick confession, not confession, but I played basketball when I was a kid at the YMCA. I learned how to swim at the Central YMCA.
Charlotte Whitesides?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And
she is an icon of swimming in this community.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would imagine at some, especially people my age, I mean, at some point you've been touched or involved or some connection to the YMCA. So that's a testament to the overall impact that the Y has had. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about, I know a little bit about this question, but I know there's a long list, but can you share, maybe just highlight some of the few some of the many, of the many initiatives remember, we don't have, this is not a 5-hour podcast, but it might take that long to discuss all the initiatives, but just share some of the initiatives that the Y is involved with or that they head up.
So I'm gonna mention just 4, although there are many, because these are really critical. And again, if we're meeting the critical needs of community, these are some of the critical needs right now that we are experiencing. One of them is evidence-based health intervention. And so we are providing programs for the community for blood pressure self-monitoring, moving for better balance for seniors, enhanced fitness, which started as an arthritis-type program and has evolved for seniors. And so not only with seniors with programming, the Y is a place to belong. They come for community as well. We have a gentleman at the Cherryville Family Y that comes in, scans his card, and just sits at the table and talks. That's his workout. So that really involves the spirit, mind, and body. But also the Live Strong program, and Caramont has been a great supporter of that program, as well as Atrium. And so we have both hospitals that are real supportive of what the Y does in the community. Safety around water. We are, with the Catawba River, the South Fork River, Lake Wiley, and just every summer you hear about the number of children who drown. And so we are teaching safety around water, which is a safety program for kids, especially low income, as a real focus. So we've been at the Irwin Center and Lineberger Park and providing some of these free swim lessons in community. So very thankful for that. When COVID hit, we were realizing so many children in the community weren't getting food that they normally would for breakfast and lunch through the school system and through Gaston County Nutrition. And so we implemented the food program and have continued that. And we were doing that this summer and feeding kids in the community. And then teens. What are teens doing today? And we just received some United Way funding to start an Achievers program that will help kids look to their future, have mentors, and be able to see that college can be a future for them. Graduating from high school can be a future for them. And so we will be working with teens and community in that area.
Very good. There's about a gazillion more things.
And there are a gazillion other things.
So that kind of leads to the next question, which, again, you may not be able to just come up with one thing, but so feel free to share any number that you would like. But what can you share, what you're most proud of accomplishing with your time at the YMCA?
Gosh, it's kind of just started. And so I would have to say that our team surviving COVID has probably been one of our biggest accomplishments, but also just starting the evidence-based health intervention programs and partnering with folks in the community through that program, those many programs. That's been a great benefit. I think providing remote learning during COVID was a great accomplishment as well, so that parents had a place to bring their kids safely and get their schoolwork done in the meantime. So there's a lot, but those are some of the ones that are fresh on my mind.
Yeah, maintaining connection through the last, June? We're recording this in June. It might be a few weeks before it actually is released, but so that means the last 15 to 16 months, connection has become a more, or at least for me, realizing how important that is to keep connections with other people besides just. And remote has been good, and it's a good way to keep connection. But boy, we need that. You need a lot of that face to face as well. And I know the Y does a lot with that.
Yeah, and we did a lot of calling during COVID as well, and reaching out to our seniors and seeing if they needed anything, and with our members as well, and just connecting, and just the number of community and members that stayed with us during COVID and supported us was tremendous.
This is getting off a little bit, but what have you seen now that we're in June or late June? Is the membership coming back? Are more people coming back to the Y physically? And how is that transition going?
Well, I think it has. COVID has changed things, and I think I'm sure it has for almost all businesses. So what we have noticed, and I'll just tell a quick little story, is so many of our cyclists, our spin classes, probably were not great in number prior to COVID. And then when COVID hit and we took the bicycles outside cycling,
I saw some of that. Yeah.
It grew like crazy, and everybody begged us, please don't go back inside. We love it out here. And they stayed strong through the cold weather, through the hot weather. But we've got beautiful space inside. So we have gone back inside, but we will program differently with group exercise from outside to inside, under our chapel at Warlick to our outside shelters at Stowe. We're going to have to be creative. But members are coming back. We are open, wide open, and we are seeing many more scans into the facility and starting to see a big uptick of new memberships.
That's terrific to hear.
It
is. You mentioned Warlick and Stowe, so can you share how many locations are there in Gaston County?
So we have 4 locations. We have from Belmont 85 all the way over to the Cherryville Y. So we have Belmont, the Farr Family YMCA. So we have the Stowe YMCA in Belmont, Farr Family YMCA in McAdenville, the Warlick Family YMCA in Gastonia, and the Cherryville Family Y in Cherryville.
Okay, good.
And they're all open.
So regardless of where you are in the county, there is a Y that you can get to relatively easily and quickly.
Absolutely.
So looking ahead, going back to I think you said 170 years?
Over
roughly?
170 years, yeah, roughly.
So looking ahead here locally, I mean, how do you envision, what do you envision the organization looking like in 5 to 10 years?
Crickets. Go on. There you go. Okay. You just want to use the sound effects. They're so cool.
Oh, I'm sure I'll have something that is worthy of the crickets before we're done.
I love it. Okay, so it really is going to depend on community need, because we want to be able to pivot and be flexible while maintaining our mission and the vision of strengthening community. So as the community changes, I think the Y changes. But I see us being more in community, looking at if we think about physical locations, looking at areas that are biggest opportunities for growth. When the Central Y closed, it created a corridor of missing an opportunity for folks to have a Y close to them. So how do you look at 321 or Dallas or any of that area and say, how can the Y show up and be present? Stanley continues to be an area of growth. Bessemer City, an area of growth. And so, as the community needs us and as the community sees the programs that we offer and how we can show up, we want to be there.
So, this is a podcast, it's called Gaston's Great. Why do you think, again, you've described many reasons already, but maybe in your own words, why would you just say the Gaston County is better because because the YMCA is here?
You know, I always say it's a place to belong. I think of Cheers, you know, everybody, the song, you want to go where everybody knows your name. And so it's for all ages. It's for all races. It's for all walks of life. It's for everybody. It's wellness. It's a safe place for after school for your children. It's a safe place where when you go to work out to have childcare. It's I've always said we are a Christian organization, but we're not an organization of Christians.
Right.
So again, all faiths, all walks of life, to just be a part of community together and to be present.
Do you know, say pre-COVID, I don't like any statistics actually since COVID started, but pre-COVID, what was a typical week? How many people were you serving through the different locations, or do you have any idea?
Gosh, that's hard. That's hard to say right now. And I had a statistic prior to, and I don't want to misquote it, so I'm not going to. But I will tell you, we count memberships by units. Okay. So your family would be one unit. Okay. So although there may be 4 heads, there's one unit. And so pre-COVID, we were around 10,000 units. And right now we're around 7,000 to 8,000 units.
Okay, well that's actually better than I might have thought.
Absolutely.
Frankly. So every unit has, according to the government, 2.7.
2.39.
So that's, what is that? 80,000 people. No,
yes.
We might exaggerate some numbers on this podcast occasionally. But we would never exaggerate how great Gaston is, right, Elizabeth?
Never.
Okay. Is there? I mean, we're going to come back to the YMCA specifically, but if you weren't involved with the YMCA, what do you think you would be doing, Sharon? It sounds like you've never done anything else.
And as I was thinking about some of this, and I had a feeling you would ask, I don't know that I'd want to do anything.
Fair enough.
Other than this, I think I feel it is my passion and my purpose. If it wasn't here, it'd be somewhere else.
Well, that's great to hear, because there's a great quote. I do not remember who it was, but if there were, something that goes along the line of, if there were more people who were following their passion or in a position chasing your passion. I'm not a big fan of that particular phrase, but if somebody finds that, and that's kind of what we need more people doing, right? Is something that they really feel passionate about and look forward to getting up and serving and making an impact. That's really how more people are impacted positively, I think.
Yeah, my passion meets purpose in the Y.
Oh, that's good. Maybe we should write that one down. You write that one down, Amy?
She's got this.
Okay. So staying with the Y for a minute, is there anything I haven't asked or anything else you'd like to share about the Y before we kind of move on to the really important questions?
Well, just really, we're open. All Ys, open. Come.
So bring it on.
Bring it on. We want to see you.
We
love you. We want to help you. We want to get you fit. We want to build your spirit, mind, and body.
I mean, frankly, after the last 16 months or so, that's kind of an important statement to make, that we are open for business, right? Because so many things have not been, and it's okay to get back out. It's okay to get back out and see people and get engaged and involved.
Yeah, and we're still getting people calling, "Hey, are you guys open?"
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I have found myself, before I go maybe even to a restaurant or something, are they back to in-person dining and things like that? Because I've been ready for that for a while too, as an example, or any events, and
and that was a hard piece during COVID too, was that we followed every guideline the governor stated, and so it was difficult to wear masks. I mean, it's hard working out, period. Try working out with a mask on. So we know that really, we struggled. There were other centers in the community that didn't require masks. And so when the mask mandate lifted, it was game on.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sure, like anything else, I'm sure you had members who, some were like, I'm never coming back. Some didn't want you to ever have a mask mandate at all. And then people in between. So listen, we found that difficult too, from just with our business, on how to deal with going to customers' houses and their businesses, and everybody was different. I mean, we followed the governor's standard as well, and what we were trying to do. Oh, we're getting ready for the important thing here shortly. My. So what what advice would you give someone trying to get involved with an organization like the Y, either just from a volunteer standpoint or maybe a career standpoint?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm an advocate, so I would I would spend hours.
It's okay to be biased. Yes.
It's okay to be biased.
This is your podcast.
That's
today.
right.
Sure.
I would spend hours. No, I think it's, we started as a volunteer organization, and there are so many opportunities to volunteer, and so I would say to anybody, regardless of age, a 2-year-old can't volunteer, but especially 18 or older, 15, 17, there are opportunities working with kids, opportunities working in summer camp or volunteering at summer camp. So, it's an incredible career. I can tell you, if you like and enjoy working with people, it's all about the people. The other pieces of what we do are tools, but it's all about the people.
It's always about the people.
It's always about the people.
So it's great to hear that. But yeah, so we'll come back before we finish and make sure we share how individuals can get involved and specifically contact you. So as a quick reminder, and we're going to spend the next probably hour or two on this next single topic. We call this our speed round of questions about Gaston County.
Okay.
And the first one, I'm going to go ahead and ask the question, but we have a special carryover from, I guess it's fair to say, last week's podcast with Steve DeAvria. But first, I am going to ask Sharon the first question, which is extremely important. What is your favorite Tony's ice cream flavor?
Chocolate vanilla mix.
Chocolate vanilla mix. Milkshake?
Milkshake.
Okay.
Hands down.
I like that very much. So for all you listeners out there who heard last week's podcast, we had Steve DeAvia on here and Patrick Mumford from the Gaston Business Association, and it was a very, very special edition of the podcast because Steve brought some samples of 3 flavors because at the time we set that up, we did not think Patrick had actually ever been to Tony's Ice Cream. So, that could be a whole podcast in and of itself, trying to describe that. But we have 3 flavors here that we're going to let Sharon, since she is the guest. I think we have lemon, grape, and black cherry. And Steve was adamant about saving these. And it's probably too frozen.
Thank you, Steve, for your leftovers.
Yes, Steve made sure that we left these and just for the record, this was just from yesterday. So I don't want people to think we had ice cream sitting around here for a week. Even though the podcast was released a week ago. So now this is very important. She's trying the lemon. I have to admit the lemon was surprisingly good, even though I won't admit that for the purposes of Vinny Cherry. That was his favorite. I'm not going to.
That first taste is like a Girl Scout lemonade cookie.
Ooh.
That my dog ate the entire box of.
That's probably a good description.
Mm-hmm. So this is the grape. The grape, I hear, is like a favorite in Gaston County.
It is. I actually think that was my mother's favorite.
Not a fan. It tastes like chapstick.
Wow.
Sorry, Tony's Ice Cream.
Tony Coletta, did you hear that? I don't know if you're listening, Tony. We're trying to give you some free press here, Tony, and I actually thought it was more like a knee-high soda, grape soda or something. A little
bit like that. All right, what's
New
this?
grape, black cherry.
Oh, I love black cherry.
That's good, I have to admit.
That's my favorite.
Okay.
So it might change from chocolate vanilla mix to a black cherry.
So 3 out of 4, I think. So we were all, I think Steve said grape, and then Patrick and myself and Sharon as well all said black cherry.
Yep. And Amy, yeah.
Oh, that's the cricket. That should be the cricket sound.
Thank you for letting me test that, Steve. It's thank you. That was great.
I think it's apropos that 3 of us. You had black cherry too, Amy? 4 out of the 5 had black cherry as their favorite, and Steve didn't.
Steve is weird. Steve is the worst.
We have it. We have it. Hey, if it's said on this podcast, it must be true.
It must be true. One of my favorite guys ever.
Yeah, Steve's terrific. In spite of knowing me.
Ditto.
So we're going to get into some we're going to continue with these. I know that our listeners are on the edge of their seats for these. So next question, Sharon, Sundrop or Cheerwine?
Cheerwine, hands down.
Excellent. Do you prefer Eastern or Western style North Carolina barbecue?
Eastern.
Very good. Did you know that Steve DeAvia said South Carolina mustard-based barbecue? And I
lived in South Carolina for 7 years, and it is heinous.
I question our friendship when he
probably likes the hash, too, which is like the brains and the guts of the pig.
Oh, man, we are gaining listeners about a second with this one. Favorite Shield Museum exhibit?
Sorry, Ann, have never been through the museum.
Something. That's perfect.
I'm embarrassed. I have been there to an event.
Okay.
But it is a goal of mine.
Okay.
I want free tickets.
Tony Pacehour, Ann Tippett, if you're listening, we have a mission now. If nothing else comes from the 500 episodes of this that we're going to record, and remember, this is number 10, this is our mission now, is to get Sharon to the museum.
Yes.
Okay.
Good. That was great timing, Amy. You're on that.
Oh, this might not have been on your list of questions, but I'm asking anyway. Favorite local restaurant?
Ooh, favorite local. Ooh, the Webb.
Webb.
The Webb.
Webb is probably in the lead of the ones that we have had. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I will tell you, I'm going to give a shout out to James Smith here. Do you know James? He's in our Rotary.
Yes.
Okay.
I know James very well, yes.
So when I moved here, he was the CFO of the Y at the time. He took me to Shrimp Boat. He took me to Tony's Ice Cream. He took me to the CDA back when it was on the railroad tracks.
Oh, yeah.
We would meet there. I don't remember the day, but it was weekly. And I gained way too much weight. And then I had to stop that. But he took me to all the local haunts.
So CDA, what was your go-to, like liver mush sandwich?
Oh, my gosh, I do love me some liver mush sandwich. That's why I can't say anything about hash. But it would usually be bacon, egg, and cheese.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, listen, it's been a while, but yeah, especially when I was working in I was still working in the field. Now CDA was a regular stop.
So good.
UNC Duke or NC State?
Gamecocks.
You were right, Steve. You were right. You warned me.
Patrick probably warned you.
He did.
He is of the orange persuasion.
Yes, we had a good discussion about that yesterday. Luckily, we are a forgiving podcast, so we'll accept.
But if ACC, hands down State.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Finally.
Mm-hmm. Hands down State.
So what is something very few people know about you?
I can sing the 50 states in alphabetical order. Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, West Virginia, Wisconsin, Wyoming.
That is unbelievable.
Is that not awesome? 5th grade, Mrs. Boone's class.
What torture were you put through to learn that?
5th grade.
I don't even remember ever doing that in school. Anybody?
I can represent.
Elizabeth says we did. I don't know. Was that a public school?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
It was at Walter Bickett Elementary.
In Monroe?
In Monroe, 5th grade, Mrs. Boone's class.
Anybody in Monroe listen to this? Can you hopefully the school system there is no longer allowing that. However, this might get picked up by some national podcast stream now after that.
It's the only.
I'm going to strike that question from the.
It's the only question
list.
I can answer in Trivial Pursuit, because I can go through the alphabet very quickly. Like, what is the one state that does? I don't know. I can. Like a B. There is no B. There is no state that starts with a B.
That's excellent. That's really worthy.
That is worthy.
So
I stumped you, didn't I? I have stumped.
Where are we going?
Stephen Long. What's my name?
So what is a We should just stop the podcast now because there's nothing we can do or ask to top that now. What is a recent book that you've read, or article, blog, anything that you follow? But something that you could share that's worthy of sharing?
Probably Gaston's great podcast. No, I'm kidding.
Man.
I've read a book recently that changed me with social media, and it is called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. And I can't tell you how wonderful that book is, and I've recommended it to so many others, and they can't put it down. I'm getting ready to read it again.
Was that the reason for your recent social media hiatus? Is that the best way to?
I went from 4 hours a day on my phone to 50 minutes a day. I've gained 3 hours back of my day.
God bless you. Yeah. That is one good thing, that when I get that weekly update that tells me how many hours. Some weeks it's good to see that. Some weeks it's not.
Yeah,
not so
you're
good.
up 43%. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm going to forget the name of it. There's also a great, I think it's Netflix, that has a good documentary about similar. What's the
Social Dilemma?
Social Dilemma. Thank you. I've seen that. I shouldn't say I made. I don't make our teenagers or kids do anything, but they're old enough. They're well beyond that. But all three of our kids have watched it, and it's kind of scary, frankly.
It is. It's very scary. And this, one of the things that it mentioned in here was the average amount of times the average American picks up their telephone a day, 2,000 times a day. You think about it. You're like, "Where's my phone?" And you're touching it and picking up. What time is it?
Just think we could how quickly we could, without that, we could learn that state alphabet song.
It would change the world.
It would.
Yep.
But in all seriousness, there is something wrong with that. I mean, with the whole the whole phone, and there's enough studies out there now that talks about how it's the same thing as eating chocolate, or how you feel, getting those likes and notifications. And I have turned off all my notifications, so the only notification I get is when Amy's badgering me about something from work.
Daily.
Hourly, minute by minute. All right, so we're going to thank you for allowing us to in that indulgement of whatever we just experienced with those Gaston County questions. So we're going to finish up here in a couple minutes, Sharon. But besides the YMCA, can you share why you think Gaston County is such a great place?
I would say in the 12 years that I've been here, and hearing the discussions of 13 municipalities, everybody doing their own thing, will never advance if everybody keeps doing their own thing, to really see in those 12 years how much that has shifted and how much further we have to go. And so I think that Gaston County is great because of the municipalities, and I think it will be greater as we come together as one.
Yeah, I think last week's podcast with Gaston Business Association, we had a similar discussion because I agree. I feel has been a shift in the last, I don't know how many years, 7 or 8 maybe.
I think it was since I came to Gaston County.
There's no question that started 12 years ago. Wow. The timing, that is not
amazing.
It's not a coincidence. That would have been a good moment.
That would have been crickets.
But
did you see her? She is so enamored in our discussion.
Yes. So I love, this is probably my favorite question. What advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
Retirement. Oh my gosh. Put money away.
Oh wow, that's good.
Because I remember my mother having that discussion with me about compound interest and how if you do this now, then you get this later. And kids today don't think about that. They need the money now.
I sure wasn't thinking about that when I was 20.
I was not thinking about that.
I wasn't thinking about much of anything important.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you're 20 and you're being told in your new job that you have a 401k or that you have a pension plan or you don't even think about that either. So what is the value in that, and how does that multiply over the years to be of 100% true value when you're 65?
Yeah, 65 is so far away.
So much of life can change you in that time. I need the money now.
I got news for you. That 65 is not very far away.
It is not far, and I'm
except for Elizabeth.
Listen, I'm telling you, now save your money, put it in a retirement, 401k, go see somebody.
This is great because actually our 401k meeting is this afternoon at GSM. So
Perfect.
Can you come back and kind of preach that to
and
the group?
sing? Can I sing to them?
Yeah, well, I think we've already got something set up. So, so is there anything you'd like to finish off with or close out with before we move on and start implementing the alphabet state song into our
There is a president
orientation?
song, too. I don't know that one.
There is a president song?
There is a president song from George Washington all the way through.
So when we get to episode like 100, when and you're back, I expect you to have that one.
I'll try my best.
We will expect you to have that one again.
You know, I don't. This has been great to be a part of, and the Y is open. Come play.
Very good. Well, Sharon, I appreciate your time. This has been really good. So where can listeners go to learn more about the YMCA or get involved or contact you, or how would they go about that?
Come to any Y from Belmont to Cherryville. We are moving to a new location in Cherryville.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep, in August. We have an incredible philanthropist who is helping us move into a state-of-the-art facility that GSM is putting the new roof on.
Oh, wow.
The old Dodge building.
Okay.
And so it is looking beautiful, and we'll be able to do so much more in Cherryville.
What is the actual website address for the
Y?
For the Y here.
www.GastonYMCA.com.
Okay.
.org.com. Either one.
Or Google it. Yeah. I do get that mixed up a lot. .com, .org.
I know. It's one
whatever.
of those.
Yeah. They'll figure it out.
They'll figure it out.
Again, thanks, Sharon, and we're going to finish up here. So, something that we started several podcasts ago was after I actually know somebody has been listening because I had a couple people ask me what are maybe our book recommendations and what we might be reading here at GSM or what I might recommend personally. So we're going to finish up with the book recommendation, a quote for this week. So my book recommendation is one of my very, very first personal development books I ever read. It's written by a personal friend, a guy named Mark Madison, who I've known for over 20 years. He's actually been here to GSM multiple times to do some training with us. His first book is called Freedom from Fear, and one I would strongly recommend, especially for anyone who might just be starting on their personal development journey. And finishing up the quote for this week is one I really love, gentlemen. Most of you probably have heard of him, named Winston Churchill. He is just a treasure trove of quotes and anecdotes, but here's one he has on courage that I really like. It states, "Courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen."
Oof.
And I think most of the time we would associate courage with the first part of that statement, right? Standing up and speaking for something you believe in. But as I've gotten older, I would agree that it takes courage and maybe experience to know when to just sit down and listen. And I think maybe with the world we're living in now, if we collectively did a little more listening, that might kind of help a little overall. But much learning, I've learned that much learning can occur when we have the courage to listen. So thanks so much for taking the time to listen to today's episode. Please spread the word if you can about this, and please don't hesitate to contact us here. I stutter with that word every time I say that.
It's the braces. I've seen you spitting all over the mic.
Braces. Well, luckily we don't share the microphones, and it is a challenge at 50 years old to have braces. So, thanks, Sharon.
You're welcome.
We are not going to release this episode at all. So please email us at podcast@gastonsgreat.com. We're always looking for suggestions for future podcast topics and guests. You can find the podcast and subscribe at the website, gastonsgreat.com. And please follow us on our social media platforms. You can also find us and subscribe on most podcast services such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google. Thanks again to Sharon Padgett from the Gaston County Family YMCA, I think, for being our guest today.
It's been awesome.
Yeah, Gaston's Great is managed and produced by Amy Anderson and Elizabeth King from GSM Services and edited by the Sumner Group. I'm your host, Stephen Long. Thanks again for hanging out with us, and please keep coming back to hear more reasons why Gaston's great.